Medicine Sans Frontiers has suspended all movements for outreach activities in Nasir and Ulang counties in Upper Nile State due to the attack on two of its clearly marked boats yesterday. And lecturers at the Rumbek University of Science and Technology have laid down their tools to demand the payment of 1 month's salary for January last year, which they claim they have not received, though other universities have received. These stories and more will all come to you in this news bulletin with me, Darlington Moses, and now the news in detail. Civil society groups and government agencies have condemned the reported atrocities against South Sudanese refugees in Sudan's Wad Medani city, allegedly by the Sudanese army forces. This comes after gruesome videos surfaced on social media of South Sudanese martyred in the capital of Al Jazeera state following its fall into the arms of the army under General Abdel Fattah el-Burhan. This has raised concern about the safety of thousands of South Sudanese nationals who have been stranded in the war-torn neighboring country. Sarah Nyanath Eliza, Executive Director of the Gender Empowerment for South Sudan organization, condemns the abuses against South Sudanese civilians by elements of Sudanese army in Wad Medani city. She says the brutal and thought-provoking videos of this heinous act demand the strongest condemnations and release immediate actions. On his part, Ted Menyang, the head of Center for Peace and Advocacy, calls on the international community to hold the Sudanese army accountable for the killings of innocent civilians. The South Sudan Youth Union has also expressed its disappointment and described the killing as barbaric. The spokesperson of the Youth Union, Apollo Mariel Rong, urges the South Sudan government to take immediate actions to protect its citizens in Sudan.
The South Sudan National Youth Union has learned with great shock and disappointment the barbaric killing of South Sudanese nationals in Medani by the warring parties in Sudan. Based on the video footage which has been trending on social media, the wailing, slaughtered masses are neither armed nor in uniform. This horrifying act of violence by the Sudanese armed group against the South Sudanese national is a direct assault on human rights. It is xenophobic, barbaric, inhuman, and a genocidal one in form and in intent. As such, the South Sudan National Youth Union condemns this unprovoked xenophobia against South Sudanese nationals and call on the Sudanese warring parties to show restraint and respect for human rights. We urge our government to take immediate action to protect our nationals who may be targeted in the Republic of Sudan.
Yesterday, South Sudan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs summoned the Sudanese ambassador Isa Mohammed Hassan to explain the circumstances in Wad Medani of Al Jazeera state following the takeover from the Rapid Support Forces. The Undersecretary in the South Sudanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador John Samuel Bouaga, spoke to the press.
We are here with His Excellency Ambassador Karrar, the Ambassador Republic of Sudan to Juba. We summoned him to our ministry here to register our concern with regard to what is taking place in Jazeera with Medani after it has been liberated by the Sudanese armed forces from the Rapid Support Force. Some of you might have seen a lot of footage in the social media about what is happening not only to South Sudanese citizens but also to Sudanese citizens after the recapturing. Our embassy still working with the people in Wad Medani. You know, the people of South Sudan, they are organized wherever they go. So they are organized in Al Jazeera and there's communication. We don't have the exact statistics. So at the moment, we cannot say anything. We will remain seized of the situation and we'll let you know.
The Sudanese ambassador to Juba, Ambassador Isam Karrar, has confirmed that the Sudanese government has confirmed an investigation committee to investigate these crimes against South Sudanese.
تم تشكيل لجان تحقيق للتحقيق والتغطي في هذه الجرائم والغبط على من تسبب وارتكب هذه الجرائم في حق الإخوة بجنوب السودان أو حتى في السودانيين بصورة عامة. أن الجميع يعلم أن هذه الحرب فيها كثير من الجنسيات مشاركة في هذه الحرب داخل السودان. نؤكد أن حكومة السودان ترفض تماما مثل هذه الأفعال وهذه الجرائم، وهي دولة تحترم القانون الدولي الإنساني وكل مواثيق ولوائح اتفاقيات جنيف التي تختص بالحرب في الدول. إن شاء الله مثل هذه الأحداث لن تكون ذات تأثير على العلاقات القوية والأخوية وبين الدولتين.
Medicines Sans Frontiers has suspended all movements for outreach activities in Nasir and Ulang counties in Upper Nile State due to an armed attack on two of its clearly marked boats yesterday. In a statement this morning, Medicines Sans Frontiers strongly condemns the attack on its river vessels delivering humanitarian supplies. Medicines Sans Frontiers head of mission in South Sudan, Zakaria Mwatia, says the boat carrying 6 of its staff members were sailing back to Ulang after delivering essential medical supplies to Nasir County Hospital. Mr. Mwatia says this attack puts the safety of humanitarian workers at risk and disrupts the delivery of critical medical aid to those in need. He says unidentified gunmen opened fire on the boat, forcing the Medicines Sans Frontiers staff to jump into the river and swim to safety in a nearby village. Mr. Mwatia narrates that one of the staff sustained an injury while escaping the attack and is currently receiving treatment in an hospital. He adds that while all staff have safely arrived in Ulang, the attack is a serious violation of humanitarian principles and international law. He said, and I quote, "Such attacks on healthcare workers are unacceptable," and highlights the volatile environment in which humanitarian organizations operate in South Sudan. The people living in Nasir and Ulang counties already face limited access to healthcare, and the impact of such violence further jeopardizes the delivery of essential medical supplies and services, placing them at risk of increased risk. End quote. Medicines Sans Frontiers calls for immediate measures to ensure that the safety and protections of humanitarian workers and the unimpeded delivery of essential medical supplies are eased to those places where people are in need. This is iRadio News. Lecturers at the Rumbek University of Science and Technologies have laid down their tools to demand the payment of 1 month's salary for January last year, which they say has been disbursed to colleagues in other universities. The teaching staff started the strike yesterday, and one lecturer identified as Benjamin Matur has confirmed to iRadio that the industrial actions is ongoing. In his remarks, Matur questions why lecturers in other public universities in this country receive their arrears while they do not get theirs.
We are still on strikes. The strikes have never been lifted. And this money we are talking about, it is released for all universities. Therefore, our question is that why University of Rumbek in particular does not receive its salary. We in the University of Rumbek and the rest of the university, we are fighting for our rights, for the payments of civil servants. Let the government pay us on time. Let the government clear all the arrears.
iRadio has verified that lecturers from University of Juba have received January 2024 salary, but was not immediately able to prove if other public universities have also received their dues. Civil servants and organized forces in South Sudan have gone for 1 year without receiving salaries for the past year due to economic hardships that have left the government struggling to meet its expenditures. Another lecturer, Mr. Garnop Makur, lamented difficult economic situation faced by their families of unpaid civil servants. Makur says they are surviving on debts from friends.
We know when the national government disbursed money, we expect to come on time, but we don't know who is here in the middle between administrations of the university and the Ministry of Higher Education or the Ministry of Finance or the Central Bank, because we feel we are a civil servant of this country. If money comes out, that means all of us need to be paid on time. You know, we have skipped December. That was a demanding month for all of us. We have taken a loan from other people so that we recover those loans, but the salary is still yet delayed. not avail up to this time. So we are just asking our national government to look into a problem of the administration of the university, the Ivory Bank, and the central bank. Or maybe there must be something between here. So that is our concern only.
When contacted, Deputy Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, Ms. Ashragi Karmi, says the delay in staff payment is not to be blamed on the finance administrations of the university. She narrates that the central bank usually disburses money through the Ivory Bank to the university, but added that the bank branch in Rumbek had no cash to give to the institution.
The Ivory Bank in Rumbek, they don't have cash. Then the Ivory Bank in the main branch in Juba, headquarters in Juba, they are saying that the central bank have no cash to give them. They just send one trip to Rumbek for us to give the salaries to the university or the government. That one trip is not enough, according to the manager of the Ivory Bank Rumbek. The mission is not us.
This is iRadio News. The United Nations mission in South Sudan says it is deeply concerned by reports of clashes between armed forces in Western Equatorial State and calls for national government intervention. Last week, Army spokesperson Major General Lulrai said SPLMIO forces attacked an SSPDF infantry brigade tasked to dismantle illegal checkpoints between Western Equatoria and Western Bahr el Ghazal states. Meanwhile, SPLMIO spokesperson Colonel Lampaul Gabriel said the violence occurred as a result of an attack by the army on their positions outside Kubri Bau. In a statement this morning, United Nations mission in South Sudan expresses deep concerns on reports of clashes which it says have resulted in civilians' casualties and displacement. The peacekeeping mission calls for interventions from the highest levels of government to prevent further deteriorations of the security situations following several violent incidents. It adds that the incident highlights the urgent need for unifications of the deployment of all armed forces of the peace parties in the country. The statement was read out by Francesca Moult, Chief of Communication, United Nations Mission in South Sudan.
The United Nations mission in South Sudan is deeply concerned by reports of clashes between armed forces in Western Equatoria, which have resulted in civilian casualties and displacement. UNMISS calls for intervention from the highest levels of government to prevent further deterioration of the security situation following several violent incidents between the South Sudan People's Defence Forces and Sudan People's Liberation Army in opposition in the area around Nagero in recent days. The Special Representative of the Secretary-General and Head of UNMISS, Nicholas Haysom, has called on all military actors to refrain from conflict and to resolve tensions through dialogue. He says this incident also highlights the need to urgently progress the deployment of necessary unified forces across the country.
For his part, the Commissioner of Nagero County, Henry Banga, says unspecified numbers of civilians have fled the area in fear of their lives. Banga urges the national government to quickly intervene and address the situations in the area.
The situation in Nagero, it is still at the same place because the war is still continuing between the IO forces and the SSPDF. But as I'm talking to you, all the people of Nagero also are displaced. The numbers are going beyond. I don't know how can I mark the real number, but I want to tell you clear that all the civilians of Nagero, they have run in the bush, they are very scattered. Let us concentrate on peace. My message to the leadership of the state government of Western Equatoria is let them, I need their intervention very quickly on what is happening. Even though my message also to the national government is the same message that I need peace and I need let them send the delegation very faster.
The governance cluster has endorsed ABA referendum resolutions and recommended engagement with regional and international organizations to recognize the 2013 results in which the region's dominant Ngok Dinka voted overwhelmingly to join South Sudan. The cluster made the endorsement in deliberations on two memos submitted by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Justice Ruben Madol Arol. A statement from the office of Vice President Dr. Riek Machar, who chairs the government body, said the meeting recommended that South Sudan engages with multilateral organizations in resolving the region's final status. The statement reads, and I quote, "The cluster recommends that the government of South Sudan engage with regional and international stakeholders involved in resolving the final status of the Abyei area, such as the African Union, the United Nations, and other relevant parties to recognize the referendum results as a basis for determining the final status of Abyei," end quote. Besides adoptions of the Abyei referendum results, the body endorsed operationalizations of the Commissions for Truth, Reconciliations and Healing Act 2024 and the Compensations and Reparation Authority Act 2024. The acts are designed to address the legacy of past conflicts and promote peace, national reconciliations, and identify aggrieved persons eligible for reparations and after establishing the necessary funding mechanism. The 2018 peace agreement mandates the African Union Commissions and the government to set up hybrid court to investigate and prosecute individuals suspected of committing crimes since the conflict began in December 2013. However, since the formations of the unity government, little has been mentioned in regards to Chapter 5 of the Peace Pact that stipulates the establishment of the tribunal. At present, there is no other justice avenue available for South Sudanese victims of conflict apart from the pending hybrid court. The governance cluster will submit both memos to the councils of ministers for their considerations. And now before the international scene, Eastern Equatorial State Governor Luis Lobong Lojure has reported calm in Capoeira East County near the border with Greater Pibor administrative area. This followed allegations of a possible mobilization by youths in Greater Pibor to attack the Toposa region. Governor Lobong says Kauto Payam and other areas bordering Pibor are stable, although residents are in fear over the rumors of looming attack. He says the remote nature of the villages and poor infrastructure there have limited the government's ability to take up security measures and protect civilians.
The whole state is calm, except that there is a fear in the far east, Capoeira East County, bordering Greater Pibor administrative area. We are talking of Kauto Payam, where rumors is that there is a very big proof of suspected use coming from Greater Pibor to attack the Toposa crowds around that area. And that is the only fear that can be reported. It is not easy because the area is very far, very remote, and there are no open roads. And so there is nothing much we could do.
On his part, the Minister of Information in Greater Pibor administrative area, Jacob Wershum, denies the allegations that local youth are planning to attack Eastern Equatoria. Wershum claims that there is no evidence of youth mobilization in Greater Pibor administrative area, suggests that if such mobilization is happening, it must be from another area.
Our youth are still in their villages and in their respective counties, starting from this side of northern Greater Pibor to southern Greater Pibor. There is no youth mobilization in these areas. So let them find where the youth have mobilized themselves to go and attack Eastern Equatoria. Maybe youth from another country or from another state. But Greater Pibor administrative area has not received any information that youth are mobilizing to go and attack any part of Eastern Equatoria.
This is iProduce News, and now to the stories making headlines in the African region and beyond. We are joined in the studio by Nyathong William.
Tanzania has dismissed a World Health Organization report on a suspected new outbreak of the Ebola-like Marburg virus in the northwest of the country. On Tuesday, the Global Health Agency said a total of 9 suspected cases were reported over the last 5 days in the Kagera region, including 8 deaths. But in a statement, Tanzania's Health Minister, Jenista Mahagama, said after samples were analyzed, all suspected cases were found negative for Marburg virus. Elsewhere, a ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas is expected to come into force on Sunday, but for now the fighting continues. Gaza Civil Defense Agency says at least 73 Palestinians have been killed since the deal was announced yesterday evening. A vote by the Israel cabinet on the deal has now been delayed, with the office of the Israel Prime Minister accusing Hamas on reneging on the agreement. And finally, outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden warned of the dangers of an oligarchy gain power as he delivered his farewell address and brought a decades-long career in politics to an end. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that really threatens the entire democracy, the basic rights, and freedom, he said on Wednesday. Biden, 82, took an aim at an ultra-wealthy tech industrial complex, which he said could wield and check power of Americans. That is all in the stories making headlines in the region and international. And now back to you, Darlington.
Thank you so much. That was Nyadong William for us today with the international news. And now to the sport update. We are joined in the studio by Emmanuel Joseph Akile.
The South Sudan Premier League returns today following a 4-day break featuring 2 matches of Al Marikh Bentiu versus Lion Hunter and Jammus versus Al Malekia. Jammus and Al Marikh secured victories in their previous matches, while Al Malekia and Lion Hunter were defeated. The organizing committee has revised the match schedule, with 2 games now played daily instead of 1. The league commences on December 23, 2024 and is set to conclude on May 31st, 2025. Arsenal moved to within 4 points of Premier League leaders Liverpool with victory over Tottenham in the North London derby at Emirates Stadium. The Gunners, who have played a game more than Liverpool, were desperate to return to winning ways after losing at home to Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg and then going out to Manchester United on penalties in the FA Cup third round. Barcelona backed up their Spanish Super Cup triumph by thrashing Real Betis to cruise into the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey. Teenager Lamine Yamal scored 1 and assisted another as Barca netted 5 goals for the second consecutive game, having beaten rivals Real Madrid 5-2 in Saudi Arabia on Saturday. And finally, the Los Angeles Clippers trashed the Brooklyn Nets 126-67 points to set a new record for their largest margin of victory. The 59-point win is the 10th largest in NBA history and surpasses the Clippers' previous highest margin of 50 in a 138-88 success against the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2022. Kawhi Leonard scored a season-high 23 points and James Harden added 21 as the Nets slumped to their heaviest defeat in the NBA. Their previous biggest defeat was by 52 points, a 139-87 points reverse against the Houston Rockets in 1978. That's all from the world of sport.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Joseph Akile. And now to end this bulletin, let's have the news recap on the top stories once again. Civil society groups and government agencies have condemned the reported atrocities against South Sudanese refugees in Sudan's Wad Medani city, allegedly by the Sudanese army forces. Medicines Sans Frontiers has suspended all movements for outreach activities in Nasir and Ulang counties in Upper Nile State due to an attack on 2 of its clearly marked boards yesterday. And lecturers at the Rumbek University of Science and Technology have laid down their tools to demand the payment of 1 month's salary for January last year, which they claim have been disbursed to colleagues in other universities. That's the end of iRadio Afternoon News. If there's a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at 1:30. I am Darlington Moses. Thanks for listening.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio.